Hi, my name is Ryan Stults. I'm from Luther, Oklahoma. I'm a senior animal science major with a minor in biotechnology. And today I'm going to be talking to you about, does the type and kind of castration affect the presence of boar taint in the quality of pork? Boar taint is a distinctive and unpleasant odor in the taste of pork and pork products. And it's in the presence of some entire male pigs. It is mainly caused by an excessive accumulation of certain volatile compounds linked to sexual maturity of pigs. And this was said by Boris Repario et al. 2016. The presence of boar taint is due to a high concentrations in the fat of at least one of two compounds widely accepted to be responsible for tainted pork: atorosin and skeatol. And that's said by Bonneu, 1982. Atorosin and skeatol. Atorosin is a pheromone produced from the testes in the hog, and is described as a urine-like odor. And this is by Patterson in 1968. Skeatol is a breakdown of products by the amino acid tryptophan in the large intestine, and it exhibits a fecal-like odor. And it's said by Vold, 1970. There's been many research studies across the world on many different types of hogs, from crossbreds to certain breeds and types and kinds. And we'll go through a few of these as we go through. The first is the presence of boar taint in pigs from Spanish farms. And these are commercial farms from 5 different regions: Aragon, Catalonia, Castilla y Leon, Madrid, and Marica. They had commercial crossbred hogs. They started at 30 kilograms and they slaughtered at 100 kilograms or 18 to 20 weeks, whichever one happened fastest. And due to the legislation, surgical castration has recently been discontinued in an increasing number of European countries. And discussions at the European level are aiming to ban surgical castration by 2018, and this is said by Boris Repario et al. 2016. And in the study, throughout the different regions, there was many differences that were found. First is the weight, the subcutaneous fat, and these pigs, the more subcutaneous fat, the more boar taint that would be discovered. The differences could result from having less time to mature because they're being slaughtered at a younger age, but at the same weight. Muragram, 2013. And the results of a more effective growing curve, the less time the hogs had to mature, the less boar taint that was being able to be produced due to the fat in their necks in the younger pigs. And another difference is the genetic makeup of the pigs. The next study that was done was the effects of ractamine, also known as paline, and the castration methods on the longissimus muscle of Pietrine pigs. This study had 1,488 pigs in it. They were split into 4 groups: ractamine, non-ractamine, surgical castrates, and immunized castrates. And there was 2 different genotypes were observed in this study. And this is Lee et al. 2015. Surgical castrates. They're done at 2 days of age. It's done by using a scalpel to remove the testes of the male, and the animal is not sedated in a surgical castration. An immunization castration. It's done by giving a GnRH shot, or a gonadotropin releasing hormone. It's injected sub-Q 2 times, 10 weeks before slaughter and 4 weeks before slaughter. And it's said by many to be less stressful for the animal than a surgical castration would be. In this study, except for marbling score and WBSF, castration methods had no effect on the instrumental meat quality trait in this study. Marbling scores were slightly higher in the surgically castrated pigs, and this effect was more prominent in the group A pigs compared to the group B as a result of the interaction. And this is still Lee et al. 2015. And the next study is the study conducted on the dislike of boar taint by consumers. There was two sections of this test. The first was in the slaughterhouse for the smell. And second is a trained panelist tested the cooking of pork chops. And this is Zeller et al. 2011. The focus research for this project was to see if the average consumer could detect the boar taint, or if the presentation of the meat affected the consumer liking. The question remains whether the acceptance of boar meat is underestimated when it is presented in a pure form. In turn, one could expect slightly off flavors to be less of an issue when the meat is presented together with other meat components. It is assumed that a presentation as a part of a meal would be more realistic and improve the external validity of the results. And this is still Zeller et al. 2011. The first is in the slaughterhouse. They heated the neck fat with a hot iron. The boar taint can be detected in the heated fat from the neck, and it gives off a very distinct odor. And this study was done by Dinkel et al. 2016. For each assessor, individual subsamples of about 3 grams of back fat were heated for about 80 seconds at 100 or 450 in a microwave and immediately served for olfactory assessment. Samples were scored on a scale from 0, meaning no deviation from standard, and 5 being very strong deviation from standard. Assessors were highly sensitive to the odor of skeatol and atarosin. And this study was done by Dinkel et al. 2016. In the conditions of the present work, the accessibility of pork chops with varying levels of boar taint related off flavors is not moderated by a meal context. The quadratic slope for the fat score provides an accelerated rejection of the meat with an increasing level of off flavor, whereas low to medium levels may not be rejected by consumers. And this is still Dinkel et al. 2016. And a lot of times, if the boar taint is not at an accelerated level, it may not even be noticed by most consumers. And last, the methods of effects of castration. Other methods were observed for the castrations of hogs. Surgical castration and immunization castration were compared to no castration at all. And this is Pauly et al. 2010. Pigs were grouped for the individual study. There was 52 large white Swiss pigs. And they were assigned by body weight to 4 groups: surgical castrates, C2, immunocastrate pigs, IC, entire male pigs in research group pens, and entire male pigs in reared individual pens, EMP. And this study is still done by Pauly et al. 2010. The scores of boar odor and flavor were lower in pork from barrows and IC than EMP, with intermediate values of E and G. In conclusion, we observed a discrepancy between the known boar taint components atarosin and skeatol and sensory accessibility, which indicates that other factors influence the perception of boar taint. Thus, surgical castration with or without anesthesia or immunocastration are still the safest methods to avoid bore taint. In conclusion, as long as the hogs are being castrated, there's really not much difference between immunocastrates and surgical castrates when it comes to bore taint. On the other hand, in quality grades, the surgical castration did have a higher marbling score than the immunocastrates.